And apparently, the New York Jets, apparently, allegedly, allegedly, remember that from Goodwill Hunting? Allegedly, the 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 New York Jets found a quarterback coach. His name is Charles London. I already hear people screaming and crying and complaining. It happens every time. But there's also some people who might understand why this could be a good hire. This is a very experienced coach. He's been around the block a few times. Let's talk about what he's done for quarterbacks. And he caught Matt Ryan's final year with Atlanta in games that were determined by one score or less. They were 7-2, and he had much more touchdown, like 20 plus touchdowns and something like that. And that's a guy whose career was fading away. Um, he actually did an okay job with Ritter, Derek Ritter or whatever. I mean, not a very good quarterback, but he had four games of like an 86 quarterback rating for, to have to coach a rookie quarterback who's not really an NFL quarterback, who's not going to succeed in the NFL. He did what he could do. It's hard to judge him on that. Obviously, he worked with Geno Smith this year in Seattle. Um, but Will Levis's rookie year, that was when he had some good, some hope for him. There was a lot more hope when this guy was his quarterback coach. Will Levis got off to a great start in his career. I think he got like touchdowns in his first game, or four touchdowns, or something crazy like that. He had more touchdowns than interceptions in the games that he was his quarterback coach. And then when he left, Levis kind of went, I guess, struggled a lot, right? And hasn't been so good, but I think they're going to give him another year anyway. But his best football came when Charles London was his coach. So that's his recent resume. Look, I mean, you are who your coach is. You can't always control it. I mean, you're coaching the quarter. You get the quarterback that you get, right? So if you get a guy who's just not a good quarterback, is never going to be a good quarterback. You can't blame the coach. But when you look at a guy like Will Levis and say, where were the better games in his career? And then you say it was clearly when this guy was his coach versus he wasn't as good after this guy left. Well, that's something. What's nice is he was the passing architect or whatever for in his life. He's been like he's had other types of coaching jobs as well, which is a good thing. Experienced guy, not a rookie. That's a good thing. Has done this before. Can't be worse than what we've had, right? I mean, we've had such jokes as quarterback coaches. At least we get a guy who's done something. Um, I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna judge it and be ecstatic and jump up and down and do cartwheels and say he's the greatest quarterback coach that we just hired. But I'm also not gonna start beating up on him and throwing him under a bus and saying he's a horrible hire. Because you got to look at his situation. Vinny C says, "Sup, Jeremy? Not for nothing, but seeing all these first-time guys in Glenn's staff made me very concerned." Well, he's not. I mean, he's not a first-time guy. He's a quarterback. He's been a quarterbacks coach. He has years of experience. Wilkes is not a first-time guy. Their defensive coordinator. You're talking about a guy who led a top four defense 2 years ago for San Francisco. Um, so I think the one good thing that they're doing is that they're getting these guys. I don't think it matters that you have a rookie head coach and a rookie GM. I really don't, because it's two totally different jobs. The rookie GM is building a team, and I think the reason he got promoted was because he kind of was doing it as the assistant GM. He was kind of doing it already. He was a big part of it. He did a lot of the work. So this is his first time where he doesn't have to report to anyone and he's the final decision maker. But it's not like he's coming. It's like me if I became a principal, like if I would have stayed in that career. It's not like, oh, he's a rookie principal, but I was an assistant principal and did much more than my principal. I ran my school, right? She sat in her office and hid and filled out paperwork while I ran the school. The only thing was I needed her to sign the dotted line to get things done. Whereas if I was principal, I could have just done it without having to wait on her, and like wait for her to come out of her office. So, and that's the case with a lot of schools. And a lot of you as students might remember that. Like, oh yeah, my assistant principal did everything. They were the one running around running the school. So look, I understand it's a rookie head coach and a rookie GM, but sometimes that works. I mean, it's not like it's. And the other thing is like as far as coach, who was out there? One dude decided, the one guy McCarthy, who shook loose later, decided that he's not going to coach this year, and maybe he didn't want to coach us, and that's just the medicine we have to take for having a shitty owner, a crappy owner in Woody Johnson, who's given us a horrible reputation, has a horrible reputation that nobody would want to work for. So you got to take what you can get. Sometimes you just have to go rookie because you have no choice. Because who else was there with experience? I mean, my number one candidate was Brian Flores. I didn't get him. A lot of people thought I was crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, he was an experienced head coach with a winning record. That got better every year that he coached. Had some problems with relationships, though. So, I mean, there's no perfect candidate, but we took Aaron Glenn, and you know what? I'm going to support him. He seems like a brilliant guy, really smart, understands the importance of relating to his players, has great mentors, and Parcells and Sean Payton, comes highly recommended, respected around the league. I mean, it is what it is, right? We weren't going to have people knocking down our door. And I kind of feel like, yeah, we couldn't get Ben Johnson, but like getting this guy that worked with him, that was part of it. Well, good part of Detroit was their passing game, right? It was a good part of it. Laporta, the tight ends, St. Brown, when he was available, Jamison Williams. I mean, like, these guys were open. These guys were running routes. The passing game was strong. Goff looked pretty good in that offense for a guy who I don't think is that good. I don't think Goff was bad, but I think he was better because he great coaching. And everybody thinks, yeah, I know Ben Johnson. Well, like, we have to assume he was the biggest part of it. He was the offensive coordinator. But these guys didn't get paid to do nothing. This guy, Estrands, he was part of it. He was in the room designing the passing plays, right? So we don't know, right? So these guys might be really good. I mean, he might be the next brilliant offensive mind. So, Vinny, I'm concerned. I don't blame you for being concerned, but I'm also hopeful. I'm willing to be hopeful. Jets page, yo, I like the quarterback coach, and the Brian Flores is all too hard on. He's trying to say everything, guys. Yeah, he was very hard on guys. I know he was my first choice, but I'm not mad. Like, I'm not crying about it. Like, I liked him because he had experience. I said, if we're going to go with a defensive coordinator, at least let it be one with experience. That's how I felt at the time. But obviously Aaron Glenn has grown on me, and it's okay to have concerns. It's okay to be concerned that he's a rookie. I'm with Vinny. I'm concerned, but I'm rooting for him, and I'm going to be thrilled if he's great. I'm hoping he's great, and I'm not. It's not even proving me wrong, because it won't be proving me wrong, because concern is not me saying he's going to fail. I'm not saying Aaron Glenn is going to fail. I'm going to say, like a lot of people, I had concern because he's an inexperienced coach. And it's scary when you hire an inexperienced coach in this league, because most fail. Does that mean I think he's going to fail? No. I'm going to be rooting really hard for Aaron Glenn, and I hope that he succeeds. And I think I'm excited about the coordinators. I think it's working out better than I thought. Like, I didn't think we'd get Wilkes. I didn't know at the time we were going to get Wilkes when this offseason or coaching search started. I'm really happy about that. We're getting has 2 years of head coaching experience. So he's been in that seat, very successful as a defensive coordinator, which is the position we're hiring him for. Like, I'm happy about that. And then we get a guy who just was part of the turnaround in Detroit, a guy who's in the room that built that offense that was number one in the NFL. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. What can I say? I'm concerned, but I'm hopeful. Draft Will Howard. I don't know why you'd say draft Will Howard. I don't agree with that. He's a horrible quarterback. He's a horrible quarterback. I think. I mean, you trust your eyes. I don't know if you've watched film on him, if you just watch highlights, or maybe you watch him play. But Will Howard is like top 3 in the country in throwing interceptable balls. He just had great freaking receivers, so he got away with it. But oh, you're a Buckeyes fan. I think he's a great college quarterback. I mean, the Buckeyes are great, right? I mean, he's great. But there's a difference between being a great college quarterback and a great NFL quarterback. And there's a stat. There's a kind of a nerdy stat out there that looks at passes and analyzes turnover-type passes in the NFL. Meaning, if it was an NFL cornerback or an NFL defense, that would have been an interception. And he leads college football in that, or he's top three in interceptions if it was in the NFL in that nerdy stat, which has some data to it. That it's not a bullshit stat; it's one that's come to fruition of being like a good predictor. So he scares me. He also has a very, very weak arm. Like, yeah, I think he has one pass of 52 yards. I mean, maybe that'll work in New Orleans. Maybe they could draft Will Howard. We're in New York. We got the MetLife, the Winds of New Jersey. Northeast quarterback's got to have a strong arm, man. I just don't know if Will Howard's that guy. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. So if they take Will Howard, I'll be rooting for him. I really will. And I won't be crying about it. I hate people who just complain about everything and be mad about it. I'll admit, as you can all hear me, I had concerns about him. He's not the guy I wanted them to take. But the second he puts on that Jet uniform, I'm right with you. I'm rooting for him. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not going to be a hater. I'm going to be rooting hard for him to be the guy. But I have my concerns. So I just want to put that out there because a lot of people, once they say they don't like someone or they don't think he's as good, right away they root against them. They're against them. They're looking everything from a negative point of view. That is not me. That is not me. If we were to hire Will Howard or any of these guys that I've spoken out against that I'm concerned about, whether it was Sanders or Ward if they slipped, whether it was Milrow or any of these guys, I don't want a quarterback this year. I want a quarterback in 2026. Now, if you tell me you want to take Will Howard to be our backup quarterback and maybe throw a dart that he could end up, oh my God, he's good, he could actually be a starter, and you take him in the fifth round, I don't care what you do with the fifth round. But to me, that should not stop us. In 2026, we need to be part of that lottery. We need to be taking our shot because that's where franchise quarterbacks are coming. What's going on, Dano? Let me know about that Friday. Which Friday? You're a Buckeyes fan. Okay, I figured. What about Kyle McCord? Again, you want to take him in the late round, take him in the late round. But understand, these late round guys, I did it myself. I physically wrote down every quarterback that was selected from 2000 draft to 2024. 24 years of data. And there were guys that were after the third round that were successful, right? We all know Kirk Cousins, right? And Russell Wilson, right? The thing is, when we name those quarterbacks that were successful, that were drafted after the third round, it's about 4 or 5 guys, and then the list stops. What you forget about is the other 95 quarterbacks that were taken after the third round who never became starters. So the data tells me, that data statistically tells me, and what I calculated was when you take a quarterback after the third round, there is a 4% chance they're ever going to be a starting quarterback. Some of them good. Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, good, really good. Don't get me wrong. Steals, amazing draft picks. Guys who are crazy, strike gold. But it's a 4% chance. So there's a reason these guys aren't going in the first round. There's a reason McCord's not going in the first round. I know he's good in college, but there's things you could look for as a scout. His arm strength, his mechanics, his ability to complete certain passes. The fact that they play in systems that are one-read systems that have nothing to do with the NFL. All these things you don't want to hear when you like a quarterback. You don't want to hear it. I know it used to make me mad when people would say it. But with Zach Wilson, I learned my lesson because I ignored it. No, Zach Wilson's great. You're all stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. He's great. And then I learned my lesson. And then now I look back at it and like, oh, yeah, how did I not see that? How did I not see the fact that he throws the ball at one speed? How did I not see the fact that he only throws the ball 3 different ways? But he more than half the route tree he can't do. He can't throw at touch. He can't throw vertical passes from the pocket. He can only throw at people. He can only run around the field and throw it to them when they're straight ahead. He can only throw a ball 55 yards. That's his distance. He can't throw a deep 35-yard pass in stride. He can't throw it further than 54 yards. He basically throws at 55. These are all things I didn't know about Zach Wilson because I didn't want to hear it. I'm not getting fooled again. So 2026 is our year for a quarterback, in my opinion. And I'll stick by that. I don't want any of these guys. But I don't care what you do with fifth-round picks. If you want to take a quarterback with a fifth round pick, I will not complain. Whatever. If they like him, who am I? They know more than I do. So if they think there's something there they can develop, be my guest. But I'm not going to talk quarterbacks for this draft. I am not interested. If it was me. Dano says, Chaos, can you speak on the recent casual draft buzz on whether it's warranted? There's a small fraction of people who would actually take him at 7. Are you talking about Will Howard? I just think that's people who watch highlights. I mean, and hype. I mean, the Niners traded up 3 first-round picks to take Trey Lance, who played 10 college games in a running system because he was a good athlete. I mean, they did that. So any GM in the NFL could do anything, and anybody could believe any hype. I can only tell you what I believe, and and what I'm seeing in my experience as a fan, and it might not be any more valuable than your opinion. I'm not saying I know any more than anybody else, but I feel like I've learned a couple of things, and I feel one of the things I've learned is that you have to look at the system in college that they're in. You have to look at when they're under pressure, how they perform, and you have to look at their freaking head when they're playing to see if they're going through progressions. And I just would never take a quarterback who's clearly in a one-read system, who there shows no evidence they can go through progressions. But again, I would be shocked if we took Will Howard at 7. I'd be very hard for me not be upset by it. But I would then root for him and hope they were right, and I would pray I'm wrong. So I don't know what to say other than that. But to my eyes, these are dart throw quarterbacks. These are 4th, 5th round, mid-round dart throw quarterbacks. They're not guys who show me any evidence that they could succeed in the NFL. The damage done by taking the wrong quarterback with your first round pick, like the 7th overall pick, it's more than just, if he doesn't work out, I picked the bust quarterback. It's the opportunity cost on every quarterback that's available in 26 and 27. And 26 is going to be great quarterbacks, franchise-type quarterbacks. We take Will Howard with the 7th pick, and we're wrong if we're wrong. By the time we accept that we have to take a new quarterback, we've missed out on 26 and 27, and we're drafting in 28, and we've lost 3 more years. So if they decide to take Will Howard, they better be right, because if they're wrong, new GM is gone. You make a mistake like that, you take a guy like that, who most NFL scouts will tell you is a mid-round prospect, and you're going to just, because of some hype on some YouTube videos, because that's what it is. There's metrics that scouts know about and understand that we're not looking at. You can't listen to these announcers. Every announcer that, they're, he's great. This kid's got an arm. This kid's got talent. You got to be careful about it. So so Dano, you're saying, if you're talking about Dart, he's another guy. I think he's better than Will Howard. I like Dart better than, I think there's a difference. I think he's better than McCoy. I think he's better than those other guys. But here's the thing with Dart. I can't take a quarterback at 7 that, first of all, again, one-read system. I can't take a guy at 7 also that has the mechanics that he has. Because there's no quarterback in the NFL that's that bad mechanically, that has that bad of mechanics, that's successful in the NFL. Now, he has a great arm because in spite of his horrendously bad mechanics, he gets the ball there and he throws the ball everywhere and he's got an arm. So there is a chance that he's going to develop into a very good NFL quarterback. But right away, you're talking about a 2-year project. Right away, 2 years. So now you're going to take him, let's say you take him with the 7th pick, you're going to now have to teach him how to throw a football. And it's going to take, if it's a miracle if he's ready to play in 1 year. Okay, so he sits the bench 1 year. Now he's playing in 26, so you didn't take a quarterback in that draft. And now he struggles because it's his first year playing, so you're not going to take a quarterback in 27 where that guy Langford or whatever, the guy from Miami, Florida, that guy who's going to be a freaking ridiculous stud. You're going to pass up on all this. So I don't think you could take a quarterback at 7 that's not I like not having to start quarterbacks like their rookie year no matter when you take them. but it at least has to be realistic, right? Like if you're going to take a quarterback with the 7th pick overall, it has to be a guy you believe that if you absolutely have to, you can actually play. You cannot put Jackson Dart in an NFL football game right now if you are watching his mechanics when he throws that football. Like, I am not a scout of quarterbacks. I don't even know what it's supposed to look like that much. I know that I like it when a quarterback steps through. There's a little basic things that we all know that we'd all teach. Like if I was teaching one of my students how to throw a football, obviously point your elbow, like step into the throw, follow through, like basic things. But this guy, when he throws a football, Jackson Dart, the top of his body does not match the bottom of his body. And Dylan T from Jet Nation pointed that out. I was sitting right next to him. We were watching him throw, and Dylan said, and Dom C was sitting there too, and they're laughing and pointing it to me, saying, "Did you see his legs and his hips? They were pointing a different way, and he wasn't running for his life, going off script. That was just the way he threw a football. Like he doesn't step towards the throw, or like it's bad. The mechanics are bad to the point where." Other people sitting around us, no one argued. Like all the people that really watch it, like we were in the bleachers at the Senior Bowl. All these people, and there were guys older than us. There were tons of Dom C's. All these guys go every year, year after year, prospecting players, right? People who went to scouting school, but they're not scouts, but want to be scouts. But none of them said, "Yeah, Jackson Dart." None of them. All of them were like, "Ooh, ouch," when they watched him throw a football. So I'm telling you. I'm not saying a good quarterback coach couldn't develop him. There's definitely arm talent, but I don't see how you, with number 7, would have ever take a guy that you have to literally start from scratch and have to teach to throw a football. They take him. I'm rooting like hell, but I'm terrified because I'm not expecting him to play his first year. I know he's got to stay on the bench. He needs LASIK. I need LASIK. Oh, you're asking why I have to do this? Because I'm getting surgery, cataract surgery. I can't see. I'm freaking blind. I can't drive a car anymore. It's awful. But I was able to see that Jackson Dart has horrible mechanics. I promise you that. You know how I was watching? I put the video on my phone on and was zooming in. That's how I watched a lot of the players when I was prospecting. It was really funny. I kept charging my phone because I kept running out of battery because that was the way I was watching all the players. I was like zooming in on them. Hey everyone, I'm big on Kyle McCord. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, DJ Lagway, man. Jesus Christ, that kid DJ Lagway. My God, He's 19 years old. I would take him right now, and as a project, and just wait on him. Everyone talks about Manning, and we talk about Drew Aller, and we talk about all these guys. Man, this guy Lagway is something else. If you haven't, type in DJ Lagway highlights. I know it's on you. It's not the same as watching film, but right now there's no all 22 film available from. I only get the seniors. But even from watching highlights, like in the highlight reel, you can see he makes every kind of throw you can make. Touch passes down the sideline, in stride deep, the regular short passes with touch, everything. He does everything. Every kind of throw. He's 19 years old. Amazing, amazing prospect. Wouldn't be surprised if he's the number 1 pick in 2027. Wouldn't be at all shocked. Although, I think Archie Manning might not go in the 26th draft next year. I think he's going to be 27. I think he's going to do, because he hasn't played yet. I think he's going to do 2 years. And the reason I think that is because these guys aren't rushing out of college anymore. They get all this NIL money. They get tons of money. He has no reason to have to rush to the NFL. And if Arch Manning has, at all an adjustment period where he's not great right away, why would he come out? Unless teams are going to take him just because of his name. But if he doesn't have a great year, if he doesn't have a stellar year, he might stay in college another year. So there's that. Knobcraft says draft a receiver at 7. I like that. Trade Garrett for whatever you can get and buy. I don't like that. I don't know. I don't want to trade Garrett. I don't know why you would do that. That's because then, okay, you take McMillan, let's say at 7, you trade Garrett, and then you got to take another wide receiver then. Then we're going to have 2 rookie wide receivers. We don't have a WR2 of the future. Don't forget that, Nob. Like you're literally saying, I mean, the reason I want to draft McMillan is to have a WR2 with Garrett Wilson. Now, if Garrett Wilson wants to go and he's not happy and he needs to go, then we need to trade him, and it's going to suck. And it's going to be terrible having to trade him. You know, we've never had a quarterback their first 3 years. We've never drafted a quarterback and had them get 1,000 yards receiving or more their first 3 years. Never in our lives. And we've had horrible offense. The first 2 years were horrendous quarterback play. And then the last year, Rodgers was throwing to his friends, so he had to share with Devontae, right? And how many times was Wilson open, and he was throwing to Devontae? So I'm not saying that Garrett Wilson's the perfect quarterback, but we shouldn't be hoping for a trade. We should be hoping that we draft a wide receiver to complement Garrett Wilson and have a great duo. Now, if he demands a trade, we could take McMillan, and I think there are a lot of mid-round guys in this draft that have a chance. There's two guys from Iowa State, Noel and Higgins. There's Tez Johnson, who I love. I know he's 156 pounds, 5'9". I could pick him up with one hand myself and throw him. I get it. I could throw the kid. I could pass the kid like a football. He's so small, but the guy gets wide open every play. The problem is he's more of a slot, and then we don't even know what we're doing with Corley. So I don't know, man. I hope that Garrett just makes an announcement to the media that he's happy, that he talked to the coaching staff and he's excited about the future. That's what I'm hoping for. I know you want to trade away people to build, but we don't have to do that. The best thing to do is to, I mean, if we did that, I wouldn't be Garrett Wilson that I'd want to trade. Let's just say that. You want to trade somebody, people will kill me and want to fry me. If you can get picks, trade Quinnen. Trade Q. He had a horrible year last year. And this draft is loaded with defensive tackles. Loaded with defensive tackles. So save $25 million. Trade him. Clear up $25 million on the cap. I would rather do that than trade Garrett Wilson. Because we could find good, solid defensive tackles. And Wilkes' defense is not as dependent on the tackle position as it is he builds the reverse way. He builds in the secondary with safeties and then builds the other way around. So, I don't know. You could yell at me for saying it, but Quinnen was not that good this year. I don't even know if a team would trade for that salary because he really wasn't that good. But someone will believe that he'll be like he was 2 years ago, and they'll give up some crazy draft pick or picks to get him. What's up, Wild Wave? Good to see you, buddy. Who was it before I was talking before Manning? Guys, what's his name again? Lagmere, the quarterback, DJ Lagway for Florida. That's who I was talking about. I don't know if you've watched him, but just go on YouTube. Look him up. 19 years old freshman. I've never seen a freshman. I mean, very rarely do you see a freshman in college play as the way he does. Like calm, just makes every kind of throw. This kid's going to be very, very special. And he's a great athlete. He can run. I mean, he's a good mobile quarterback. Not super mobile. He's not Justin Fields or anything crazy like that. But he's good enough. Like, he's a solid mobile quarterback. Like, he's solid enough. He's 240 pounds. So maybe he runs with think Josh Allen type running, right? Josh Allen's not a spectacular runner. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Justin Fields. But he's physical and he's good enough. He's mobile enough. Think that. He's like, this guy is a big, strong guy who's mobile. But it's not going to be his forte. What's going to make this kid good is that he can make every throw. Salami says, Jeremy, our offensive coaching staff looks like it's shaping up to be stinky poo-poo. I just don't agree, PC Salami. I mean, I don't know what you're basing it on. We got a quarterback coach who has experience, who's done well. I mean, you could sit there and say, he didn't coach Patrick Mahomes. He didn't coach Josh Allen. But, like, there's only 4 or 5 great quarterbacks, and everyone else you're going to complain about. Look at the teams he coached for. I mean, what was he given? He was given Ritter. Did you expect him to make Ritter a star? He actually had him at an 86 pass rating when he was there in Atlanta. And then the guy got worse when he left. He actually was better with Will Levis than anybody else has been. Like Will Levis had played his best football as a rookie under this quarterback coach. He's gotten worse without him. So I don't know. His name's not Turner. You're saying he's a running back coach. This guy has a few years of quarterback coach. He's experienced. What his name? Well, wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. He has experience as a quarterback coach. He's coached 3 different quarterbacks. That's at least a minimum of 3 years experience. He coached Geno Smith last year, Will Levis. He coached Matt Ryan his last year, and then Ritter. So, I mean, this is an experienced quarterback coach. He's been in the league for a lot of years. He's been coaching for a lot of years. This is not a rookie quarterback coach. So, it's not true. A couple of years, 1 year, popping stop. Well, looks, you end up with coaches that fired their head coaches. You end up with teams that fired their head coaches. And the staff gets cleared out. I mean, what are you supposed to do? That's like you're just looking for things to be upset about. You're looking to be negative. Like you could sit there and be negative all you want. I don't have time for that. Like I'm not sitting here saying he's a great coach. I'm not sitting here ringing any bells and saying this is amazing, but you're choosing to be negative. Like you have no idea what this coach, this offensive coordinator did in Detroit. You have no idea what his responsibilities was. You don't know. You were never in their room. You have no idea. You didn't interview him. You've never spoken to him. All you know is he was on an offensive coaching staff that turned the Detroit Lions around. He was part of that coaching staff that built the number 1 offense in football. That's what we know. Every single coach that you like or you think would have been a good candidate was once a coach you didn't know. Was once a rookie. You had no idea who he was until he became the person he was. So yes, he could suck. Or he might be the next brilliant offensive coach in the NFL. And we're not going to know for a couple of years because next year, who's our quarterback? So if we have a bridge quarterback and don't even bring back Rodgers, you don't even know. Like, you're going to have to wait 2 years to even make a verdict on this coordinator. I mean, we don't want it to be terrible. But you know what? Let's judge the offensive coaching staff by a few different things. You know what a metric could be? Let's see if they establish this running game. Because we have a good offensive line and we have good running backs. So let's raise an expectation that even if their quarterback play is terrible, that we will have a decent running game that will be better. Like, can we start there? And can we think positive? Because you don't know that they're bad. You're worried that they're bad. You think you know, but you don't interview any of these guys. You don't know any of them. You think you know, but you don't. You're making rules for yourself. Oh, he worked 1 year in 3 different places. Well, 3 people wanted to hire him then. That means people liked his work enough to want to hire him. Why did he keep getting hired? Why did he get hired by us? Why was he hired by Seattle? Why was he hired by Atlanta? Why did Tennessee hire him? Like, why did these teams hire him? You're just choosing to look at the negative. Many people in many fields jump around a lot. This is known for it. Unless you work for a freaking Andy Reid, you in this field, it is known for that. That you're going to get coaches that have had a lot of stops. Lots of great coaches, a lot of stops. So I mean, it is what it is. You know, you're saying former, but these coaches jump around. You don't know anything about the NFL and coaching, obviously. Like tight end coaches become offensive line coaches. Offensive line coaches become quarterback coaches. They're coaches. They know everything. Some of them start as scouts. They know all the positions. They're trained in all the positions. Like, do you really, like they hired him for a reason. They gave him the offensive line coach made him that coach for a reason. You don't understand what a coach is if you think it's only about he had to have coached that position. It's like a manager. You could be a manager and go to a totally different industry. There's a skill in managing people. Well, that's the way it is with coaching that you don't seem to understand. There's a skill in coaching people. It's a skill in its own. That's why coaches can switch jobs because it's a skill. They're able to coach. The hardest jump is to become a head coach because that's a new skill. That's more than coaching. That's leading. There's the most leadership, and that's managing football games, and it's managing. So it goes to another level that not everybody can do. That's why you have guys that are great coordinators that are never ever able to become head coaches. And that's why you have great positional coaches who never become coordinators because they're different jobs. So, yes, you could be skeptical. I'm not saying don't be skeptical. I mean, how can any Jet fan not be skeptical? It is perfectly normal to, as a Jet fan, to be skeptical. But it also, there's no reason to be overly negative and decide that it's a failure. They haven't coached a game yet, and we're deciding that they're failures. And I'm not saying you're saying that, PC Salami, because you didn't say that they're guaranteed going to be failures. You said they were skeptical. So, no, you're not bothering me. This is me. Do you know who I am? Why do you think my name is Jets Chaos? You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're triggering me. You're bringing out the chaos. That's what you're supposed to do. And I understand that you're not saying that they're definitely going to stink. I understand that. What I'm saying is there's two different ways to look at it. Yes, we could be skeptical, but we don't have to be super negative. We don't have to sit there and say, oh, and point to things we don't know about. Like it's not, I don't know and you don't know. We don't know. You never worked for an NFL team. You've never been in a locker room. You've never been around it. You don't. Unless I'm wrong. Were you an NFL coach once? Have you been around it? All I'm saying to you is I know you're not saying that. That's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, listen, most coaches fail because there are 32 teams and really only maybe 5 to 8 teams have happy fans, right? And the others are all failures. So most coaches fail. Statistically, Aaron Glenn will fail. Statistically, every single coach we've hired is going to fail. Because most coaches in the NFL, when they take a new position, fail, right? But what could you do? You could hire proven winners, but there were none available that wanted the job with us. So what we're forced to do as a losing organization is do our best to find the next success story, to find that next coach who somehow defies the odds and succeeds in the next position, right? So all we can do is hope. And there's no reason to think that Aaron Glenn has less of a chance to succeed than any other first-time head coach that's hired. He's put in the work. He's done the things he's supposed to do. Everybody is so sure that Ben Johnson was the better coach because we want an offensive-minded coach. He might fail. Everybody is so sure he's going to be good. Why? Why are you so sure? Like for people who think Ben Johnson's going to be good, why are they so sure about it? Every good coordinator, how many great coordinators have we seen become head coaches and absolutely suck? It happens all the time. So we don't know. What we have to hope is that we struck gold. We have to hope that we made the right choices. We have to hope that these guys are the next big thing. We want the problem that this offensive coordinator, that teams are going to want him after a couple of years and steal him away from us. We want that to be a problem. We want him to be great. And we have to hope that the people under him learn his system and there's someone in there that's able, if he does eventually succeed and leave, could step up in his place. And that's great leadership. Great leadership, greatness is when you could leave and the system you put in place survives. That's greatness. Being able to be good and succeed and be successful in everything, then you leave and it falls apart without you, that's good. That means you were good. Great is when you build something that sustains. That sustains. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, I'm going to be hopeful because it doesn't do my life any good to be negative. Like to sit and think. And look, we have every reason to be negative. We have holes in our roster. We don't have a quarterback. We don't have the most important position. We have a head coach that's an unknown. So the two most important things, the quarterback and the head coach, we don't know who the quarterback is, and we have an unknown coach. So we have all the reason in the world to be worried. But we also have all the reason in the world to have hope. because we're gonna look for a new quarterback, and maybe that'll be the one. And we got a new coach, and maybe he's gonna be the one. Maybe, right? I don't know what else you can base fandom on. I mean, I've been disappointed and had my heart broken for over 40 years with this team. But it's either I stop being a Jet fan and I'm stopping a football fan, or I find a way to be hopeful. I don't know how to do it any other way. I honestly don't. But I do, to save my feelings, to save myself from losing my mind. I try to keep I try to keep and maintain realistic expectations. And I think that those expectations are Aaron Glenn is coming to a situation where I know we're going into a bad situation. I know that it's going to take over a year, one off season to rebuild this roster. We have a lot of holes, and I don't believe that we could fill all of it. So what do I want to see? I want to see improvement. I want to see a team that fights. I want to see a team that doesn't just choke up every game and just die in the fourth quarter like we did this year. If we could win, even if we go 7-10 or 8-9, if we don't blow leads, if sometimes we're outplayed by better teams and they just beat us, so be it. We don't have a complete roster yet, but I want to see flashes. I want to see hope. I want to see our running game improve. I want to see some of our younger players start to flash. I want to see hope. So when we go into the next offseason, we have less holes and more guys to be excited about. And then maybe if I don't know the Aaron Rodgers, but if we cut ways with Aaron Rodgers, then in 26 we'll have a clean slate on salary cap. So we'll be able to sign our guys and maybe bring in some free agents, draft some more guys, and maybe that'll be the year that we really complete the roster and have a chance. And let's say we did win 7, 8 games. Maybe we could jump to 9, 10 wins and show that. I mean, these are the things you hope for. This is what fandom is. It's what fandom is. If I don't believe that's going to happen, what's the point? Right? John B says, hey, now, we want a quarterback to sit and learn. Well, it's never bad to have a quarterback sit and learn if you can afford to do it. How's Seattle? I'm not in Seattle. But I don't know. How is Seattle? E-Boogie says, hi, what's going on, E-Boogie? It's been a while. I don't see you around much. But then again, I don't give much notification when I'm online. There's no guarantee that Ben Johnson will work. What do you think? Half of the good coordinators became successful head coaches, or is it less? I think it's less. Exactly. So you should be skeptical, but be skeptical of every team. But yeah, I agree. Most coaches will fail under 50%. Definitely not over 50%. Because how many teams do we consider successful every year? Because even when teams make the playoffs, right now people are screaming, Josh Allen sucks. Right? They're unhappy. If you're not winning the Super Bowl, they're unhappy. They're happy if like Aaron Glenn makes the playoffs next year, we love him. The second year, if he makes the playoffs, if we lose the first game, we're angry at him. Oh, this guy can't win the big games, right? Like fans will always find a way to be angry until you're winning Super Bowls. And very few teams win Super Bowls. But most teams fail. So by definition, most coaches fail. Glenn was my top choice. That's cool. Vrabel was out. Once Vrabel was out. Okay. I spent a lot of time arguing with Greenbean about Flores. Okay. No reason we can't win 10 next year with competence. I thought the roster was a Super Bowl winner 10 months ago. Yeah, but Jake, it's not the same roster. It's not the same roster. G.J. Reed is gone, so that's a whole cornerback. Our safety room is now vacant, pretty much. Sherwood is not a guarantee we're going to get him. People saying he might make $12 million. Well, I don't know if we can afford to pay him that. He might run to Ulbrich to Atlanta. Right? So we have holes in this roster. Defensive tackle, area of weakness. Is Jermaine Johnson going to be the same? Who's going to replace Michael Clemens, who we know stinks? Will McDonald is not an every down guy. He's a pass rush specialist. He doesn't seal the edge. We need a guy to play opposite of Jermaine Johnson to at least seal the edge. Jermaine Johnson, I believe, even coming back from the injury, I'm confident he'll be able to seal the edge. I believe he'll have that skill set still. Like, I'm not going to be that pessimistic, but I don't know that he's going to get a lot of sacks. Because he's going to lose quickness. He tore his Achilles. He's going to lose quickness. He's not going to have the same quickness. I mean, he's still smart, and sealing the edge is more than just physical talent, or you could be a little slower and still be a guy who seals the edge. That's about winning, and that's about positioning and angles. But I mean, technically though, we do need an edge, right? Now, you also got to look at the defensive coordinator, figure out what you need, like who he utilizes. He's a safety. His defenses are predicated upon safeties and then cornerbacks. It's reverse. It's like pull the inside out. It's not. It's the opposite of Salah as far as Salah's like you got to build the defensive line. Wilkes is I like to go man coverage. I like to blitz. I like to do different packages and move things around. I need good safeties because you can't run that defense if you don't have good safeties. Because when you're blitzing and doing those kind of things and playing man, that final layer is going to get exposed if the safeties can't do it because they're going to be put under the spotlight in a lot of situations. So if you look at Wilkes and the defenses he's coached, safeties. So, and it's funny because when we talk about the draft, no one's talking about safeties. Everybody got into this condition or this habit that you think that we could just get them in free agency so easily. And the truth is, that it's not so easy. I mean, it's not as premier a position typically as cornerback one, left tackle, edge. But in this defense, we need safeties, and we don't have any. Like, they suck. Ashton Davis sucks. We wanted to believe that Tony Adams was good. He's not. He sucks. This new guy that we picked up, Mills, like, he's a good box safety, maybe as a backup, depth. But we need a box safety and a free safety. We need both those positions. And in this defense, for this defense to work, typically in past years, this defensive coordinator, if he wants to run the defense the way he runs it, the way he ran it in San Francisco, the way he likes to run it, you got to have good safeties to do that. Do we think Tony Adams is it? I don't believe it anymore. If a guy's good, it's going to show at some point. It just didn't show. Not having good safeties is what made Salah's defense fail every time. And you see, so you're even saying that. Because you're saying bullshit that you could even overcome bad safeties. Because, I mean, we lost games. We lost the game against the Colts because we had a safety one-on-one with their number one receiver. Not that I blame Mills for that. This guy was off the freaking garbage heap. We got him for free. And now he's a box safety, and you're sticking him against their number one receiver. And then you're wondering, scratching your head, why he gave up the pass that lost us the game against Indianapolis. Well, that's just bad coaching. That's bad use of personnel. And maybe you're right. Maybe part of Salah's badness was what the hell was he thinking? Past where the safety should be. We never valued it. It was a huge mistake. Yeah, it was a huge mistake. Well, this coach is going to value safety. But what I'm saying is, I know that we had a roster we thought was good enough for the Super Bowl last year, but we've been exposed. Our defensive line wasn't what we thought it was. So we don't have tackles. So we're going to have to replace those positions, right? We have Quinnen, but the position next to him, we need to fill that. We also need, like, for depth, we need a guy behind another kind of guy. I think LT3 is pretty good, so maybe we just need one. But what I love about this draft is in the fifth, fifth round, we could draft we could draft a defensive tackle in the second round and then come back and draft another one in the fifth round. We might get Mason Graham. We could still come back in the fourth or fifth round and draft a defensive tackle that's a solid quality player. That's how deep this year is in defensive tackle. We need another offensive tackle, right? We don't know that we're bringing back our right tackle, Morgan. We need a right tackle. So there's that. We need depth behind guard. You want to go with Wes Schweitzer as our backup guard again, and center? We need more depth in the guard position. I think we need another edge. We definitely need another wide receiver without question. We need a boundary wide receiver. Like, this is a lot of needs. We need two safeties, a defensive tackle, an edge. Are we going to go with Eccles and Stigler as our CB2? Okay. But we still need a right tackle. We need some depth at guard. We need a wide receiver. We need a tight end. We need two tight ends, maybe a blocking tight end. We have a lot of holes, a lot of holes. I don't know that we can complete this roster in one offseason. I don't know how they're going to do that because the Aaron Rodgers cap thing is killing our cap. If he stays, it's not as bad, but we'll be paying him and Devontae too much money to get to really do much. If they go, it's going to be 49 and then plus 8. So it's going to be like $56 million in burned dead cap if they go, if they don't come back. We've got issues. We've got issues. It's not easy. We've got a roster to fill. So I think that I hope that somehow Glenn could pull off a miracle. I hope that we hit on our picks and we could fill a lot of those holes. And I hope that we're able to win 9-10 games. That would be great. But if that, I don't see how that could be an expectation. I don't see how you could honestly say that's your expectation. This team hasn't made the playoffs in 15 years. And we are not coming in with the best roster in 15 years. So I don't know how the expectation is that somehow this team is going to be the one to break the curse when it's far from the best roster that we've had. We have some good players. We do. But you're only as good as your weakest link. And we have weak links right now. I know it's going to look a lot better. We're going to be feeling a lot better once we start draft picking guys and signing guys. And it's going to look a lot different. But there's still going to be holes. There's going to be positions we are weak in when this season starts. I promise you. There's going to be positions of weakness. So, and it might be quarterback. So, because, Tyrod Taylor's a good backup quarterback. Tyrod Taylor is not a starting quarterback. Anybody who's brainwashing themselves to think that it's a good thing to have Tyrod Taylor as your starting quarterback, you're brainwashing yourself. You are brainwashing yourself. If A-Rod comes back, even if he repeats this kind of season, if he could maybe be a little bit more clutch, maybe we'll be okay. I mean, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3,800 yards. It's not the worst. It's not the worst thing in the world. Maybe we don't have the horrible interceptions like the Pittsburgh one. Maybe if we just turn those around and we have a kicker who can actually kick the ball, and maybe we have better coaching, so we win a couple of games that we lost because of horrible coaching in the end, like having a box safety cover the other team's best wide receiver when you have a lead at the end of the game. Like maybe we could fix those things and we could scrape off more wins. And maybe we can win 9 or 10 games. But all those things have to, everything has to fall correctly. I hope it does. But then after that, in 26, we need a quarterback. So Rodgers is a one-year solution for that, right? But then who's going to be our quarterback in 26? That's why I'm saying I don't want to draft no Jackson Dart kind of guy and roll the dice when in 26 there's going to be 5 NFL quarterbacks. There's going to be 5 quarterbacks that come out at a minimum that have a chance to be NFL players, like franchise quarterbacks. I want to play that hand. That's when I want to make my move. So, yeah, exactly, Beely. What time is it? 8:39 on the East Coast. When does Nick go on? Does anybody know when Nick Shine goes on? Does he go on at 8 or does he go on at 9? I think he goes on at 9, right? If anybody knows, I hope. No, Nick was in here, so there's no way he's live now, right? He goes live at 6 my time. I don't want to be on when Nick's on. 9:30, so it's 8:30 now. Okay, so I'm good. All right. Do we get money back if he decides to retire in his own? No, Jake. That's the worst part of it. Like if he retires, we just 49 million if we retire. But the good news is that that 26 will be clean. I think there might be some lost money even then. But I don't know if it counts against the dead cap. I think it's just money that we have to pay him, Woody Johnson. But I don't think it's dead cap. I have to look on over the cap to find out. Tell Nick to eat it. You're on. So check it out. So you could go on over the cap and do the thing where you manage the team and you could cut Rodgers. and take the 49 cap hit and then go to 26 and see if it costs us money. I'll do it and I'll let you guys know. If I was in front of my computer, I would look for you. But I think that it will clear the cap out at least. Like it'll be, we'll have to take our medicine. We'll have to eat. Denver ate $100 million on Russell Wilson, and they made the play. And they made the playoffs. So you know, it's not it's not a lost year if we have to eat between Rodgers and Devontae. If we have to eat 56 million, like it doesn't. But it makes it much harder because that 56 million we could have signed we could have filled 2 to 3 quality spots, right? 56 million, you know, you could get a really good safety like Jalen Reed from Kansas City. How much is he going to cost? Probably not that much, 15 to 17 million. I don't know, maybe 18 to 20. Okay, then you still have 36 million left. You get your backup guard, maybe. You get I don't know, you get a tight end for 15 million. So you got, and then you only have to draft one. Like you could, but that money goes a long way. Well, Eddie McGuire says it. Yeah, Denver has Sean Payton, absolutely, and I agree. That's why and I agree 100%. That's why I am very skeptical that we could win 9 or 10 games. Because even though they had that $100 million hit, and we only have ours would be 56 million, they have Sean Payton, and he was able to make Bo Nix a good quarterback his rookie year. And that's not attacking Bo Nix, but that system was built to survive, to be able to win with a rookie quarterback who has a limited skill set at this point of his career, right? So, and that doesn't, he made some amazing plays, but in a lot of games, like the game against us, we saw there's a lot of games where he wasn't very good. But it didn't matter because that Sean Payton coached the hell out of that team. If Sean Payton was our coach last year, we probably would have won 12 games. And I mean that. He would have found a way to coach around Rodgers' skill set, and he would have gotten more out of our defense, and he would have gotten more, and he would have held guys accountable, and we would have been better. Because you cannot understate the importance of coaching. A great coach is invaluable. It's like I think it's probably, I don't know if it's coach quarterback coach, or maybe they're about equal, but it's coach and quarterback. I mean, if you look at every great team, sustainable great teams that were great, that were in multiple Super Bowls or were in the playoffs year after year, every one of them, what do they have in common? Quarterback and coach. Every one of them. Look at the Ravens right now. Buffalo, like, I'm not going to be one of those guys that say Josh Allen sucks. Shut up. He doesn't suck. Maybe he's not. We're not going to compare him to Mahomes anymore, maybe. Right? You might think that he's the number 5 quarterback, but he'd be the best quarterback we ever had. Like, and their head coach is pretty freaking good. And then McVay, the guy for the Rams, right? You got Stafford, who never won anything. But then when you put the quarterback and the coach together, Super Bowl. So, I mean, you need a coach. You get the coach, you get the quarterback. It becomes much easier to build a roster around that. But we don't have him, so. Oh, if Josh Allen had Sean Payton, he'd have a Super Bowl. No question. No question. Like, oh my God, yeah, I agree with that 100%. You give Sean Payton Josh Allen. I mean, look what he did with Bo Nix. And again, I'm not even beating up Bo Nix. I'm just saying, rookie quarterback with not even, I mean, who might develop it. I don't want to say anything bad about him. But right now, his current skill set compared to Josh Allen, give me a break. It's not even a comparison. It's a different world. So yeah, I agree. Sean Payton's a great coach. But you got to give him the quarterback. He's not Parcells. Parcells was better, but he's a great coach. I thought the same thing. But the great look, we're all traumatized. Like, even when we were supposed to be good, I always have doubt. I'm always skeptical because we're the Jets, and I've had nothing but a lifetime of losing. I'm never really going to believe we're going to win the Super Bowl. I think we'd have to win one for me to actually believe it could happen. Because at this point, I'm so conditioned to we're the Jets. Like, we're never going to win a Super Bowl. Like I'm so conditioned to feel that way. Like it would take so much for me to believe that we can win the Super Bowl. It would take so much. After 39 years, I'm scared. Yeah, man. 40, let's see, 10, 44 years for me. 44 years. Is it 44 years? I mean, 1982. How many years ago is that? Oh, 42 years. 42, 43 years, whatever it is. 1982 wild card was when I realized I was a passionate Jet fan. Oh no, it was it? Was it 81? It was the year we lost to Buffalo. It was the year before the Mud Bowl, which was 83. So it's the 82 season, the 83 game. So I guess it was the 82 season or something. We lost to Buffalo in the wild card. We had Richard Tart as the quarterback. That was my earliest memory of being extremely passionate about the Jets. Then the next year we lost in the AFC Championship game, I think 14-0. 5 interceptions. AJ Dewey had 3 of them. Then I remember going back to the playoffs in 86. We were 10-1 with Ken O'Brien. He got hurt or something, or I forgot what happened, and we went 10-6. But then we won a playoff game, and then we lost to Cleveland because Gastineau had the penalty. So I remember that. Then I remember no playoffs for a long time. And then Parcells came. And then there was 10-0 over Denver. First, at the end of the first half, third quarter comes, everything fell apart. We lose that game. 99, we go in. This is our year to win the Super Bowl. Vinny goes down the first game, untouched, knee. That season's over. 2004, I go to the playoff game in San Diego, almost get killed. We win. We play Pittsburgh. We missed 2 easy field goals with the guy we used a second-round pick on from Ohio State, Nugent. And we lose that game. We should have advanced to the AFC Championship game. Herm Edwards as a coach deserved it. He deserves to be recognized as a coach that got to an AFC Championship game. It was stolen from him because a kicker missed 2 easy field goals. But as a coach, he put us in that position to be in that championship game. We would have played New England. We probably would have lost, but it doesn't matter. That season was a heartbreaker. Then we struggle along a few years. The Mangini, we start to build a roster. We get Rex Ryan, 2 AFC Championship games. That's my Jets life. And we lose both times in the AFC Championship. The first down that Pittsburgh got at the end there when we had a chance to get the ball back. These things haunt me forever. And they will always haunt me until we win a Super Bowl. And we might not. And I've come to the point of my life where I realize that I might never get to see them win a Super Bowl. I might be dead before they win one. This is a reality, and I think there's a lot of you out there with me. At least the people older than me. If you're a year older than me, at least you were alive for it. If you're 4 or 5 years older than me, you may even have a slight memory of it. And if you're 6 to 10 years older than me and more, you definitely remember it. But unless you're older than 54, like me, I'm like the cutoff. Anyone my age or less has never been alive for a Jets Super Bowl. It's terrible. And I honestly really believe now. I thought in 2004, I thought, no, they'll win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. I believed it in 2004. It's 21 years later, guys. I don't know if I'm going to ever live to see them win a Super Bowl. I honestly don't, and it's depressing as hell. So until they win one, I don't know if I really will ever believe that we could win one. I'm convinced with every Chiefs game I watched, they wanted Swift in the box for rating. Yeah, Jake, man, the Kansas City Chiefs thing is so much crap, man. I'm so fed up with it, guys. I meant to go on for 15 minutes, and here I am again, approaching an hour. So we hired a new coach. I forgot his name already. It's been so long since I started the video that I actually forgot his name. Let me see. Maybe I still have it open. Charles London. Charles London. I'm going to hold out hope. I don't think he has a very high bar in order to be better than what we've had. So there's not a very high bar for him. I just want to see one Super Bowl before I die. Not asking for much, laughing out loud. I used to think it wasn't asking for much now. either. Like I used to think it wasn't asking for much, but for some reason, we just don't seem to be able to do it. So, and guess what? We're in no position to do it next year. So, I mean, it feels like we're years away, but the truth is by 26, we'll see what it is, maybe 27, 28, depending on how the next two seasons go. What we need to see for the next two seasons is Aaron Glenn just crush it and this new GM crush it and build a great young roster and draft really well and find that quarterback. And maybe we will have hope. It sucks to have to say maybe when a year ago we thought we were there. But anyway, take care, guys.